Ladies and gentlemen of Troy, welcome to the Student Body Right podcast for all things USC football. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify or wherever podcasts are available, and also here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and also hit that button, subscribe, and also hit that little bell so you get an alarm when it's time for us to drop some new content. We'll be doing some live shows, all those things like that, but please make sure you do that here for more stuff USC. Here's a new episode, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen of Troy, welcome to the Student Body Right podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas. All things USC right here on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, all those things like that. And also for you Raider fans, this is also the site for Trojan football, Raider football. That's it. I mean, you got the best of the college football with the Trojans, and the best of all the stuff with the NFL with the Raiders as well too. So Student Body Right podcast. We had a great response to our first episode. I want to thank Phil Robinson for joining us on that episode. We'll have more guests in the future, but right now it's just be me today. So we'll have some fun talking about Lincoln Riley and some of the comments during Super Bowl week, which kind of got people in a stir, especially in Oklahoma. They get a little emotional. Get a little emotional. I want to cry a little bit when it comes to talking about Lincoln Riley. So we had a new logo. You can see it right here, our new logo. When you see that logo, that means whether it's on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever, that means it's me, and it's the Student Body Right USC football podcast. So definitely support us any way you can. We appreciate that. I want to shout out to @LogoHog. It's @LogoHog. He did our logo, so I want to thank him for that. Can't wait to see what he does with the Raider one. So that should be fun as well. I do want to say, got a sponsor for the show, Dragon the Barber. Now, listen, if you want, he's based out of Connecticut, but if you want to have him, if you have a wedding, tri-state area out there in New York, we have people who watch the show in New York, or watch the show in New York. I get all the analytics, New York, LA, all that stuff like that. That he will, for weddings and stuff like that. Women will have people fly out for their stuff. Men are in the grooming big time as well. So you want to have that opportunity to do that. Dragon the Barber. He's on Instagram, so hit him up. Dragon the Barber here. One of the sponsors here for the Student Body Right podcast. Let's see here. Let's just start off with, some of the cities watching the show and listening to the podcast are Inglewood, California, Los Angeles, California, and then we have Miami, Florida, and Austin, Texas as well, watching and listening to the Student Body Right podcast here. And let's just start with Lincoln Riley. I mean, everything with the Trojans starts and ends with Lincoln Riley. So let's take 1 second to hear what he said on Radio Row when getting interviewed by Colin.
But I think the transfer portal kind of handles a lot of that. We didn't take players from Oklahoma. We took players from the transfer portal. Those players and their families had to make a decision to either stay at that university, just like any other player has to make, or to enter the portal where then they can be recruited by anybody in the country. And that's up to those players and their families, and we have nothing to do with that. But once a player gets into a portal where they are open to any school in the country, we would be crazy not to take a look at that and try to help our football team. And then on top of it, for me, maybe the more emotional tie for me is these are guys that we recruited. We got to know their families. We were a part of the entire process. All of a sudden they were good enough for us to take at Oklahoma, but now we wouldn't give them a chance just because we're at a new spot. I just, that part never really made sense to me. So, certainly excited to get those guys here along with all of our other players. And to us, it's literally, these are players in a portal. These are guys that we feel like can come into USC and help us get this program to where it needs to be.
I went with Colin Cowherd talking about the transfer portal and, the ups and downs of it, and kind of his response to everybody trying to attack him for using the transfer portal. The transfer portal is not heroin or fentanyl. It is a legal substance that that coaches in the college football can use. So by all means, why wouldn't he use it? Like why wouldn't you use it to get your team better? It is a version of NCAA college football version of free agency. If you don't like where you are and you see a better opportunity, you're a quarterback, you're a wide receiver, you're a defensive end. Maybe it's shame on these schools for not being good enough for them wanting to stay. I mean, like some of these schools are not good enough to want them to merit those guys saying, "Hey, I want to stay. I don't want to go to LA. I don't want to go to Lincoln to go with Lincoln Riley at USC." It's just that simple. Like they're playing what's inside the rules. I mean, remember, all these college coaches used to be able to just leave, right? They recruit these kids from the time they're 8 years old, and then they go leave. The kids still stuck there. New offense. You're a wide receiver. You think you're going to go to some air raid or throwing the ball all over the place kind of offense, and then the new coach comes in and he wants to be smash mouth. All of a sudden, your ability to go to the NFL, your ability to, try to become a pro gets hindered because of a coaching move. And you can't leave. If you do leave, you got to sit out a year. Like those days are done. Like schools like Oklahoma, all these other schools, and I know that Keontae Scott might leave. A big time cornerback recruit, one of the best cornerbacks in the nation, might come to USC and decommit from Auburn to come to USC. That's been speculation about that. I mean, that's not on USC. Like, we'll take all the good players. We'll take all the good players. Like, this is not, I know everybody liked it a little bit better when it was the Clay Helton era, and Clay Helton used to come in and smile and just say, "Hey, we'll take 2 and 3-star recruits. That's fine. As long as we don't get in trouble or anything like that." Whatever Clay Helton's thing was. We know Clay Helton wasn't the answer at USC. But we're hoping that Lincoln Riley is. And he's just taking advantage of something that's clear, present, and in front of him, and something that can help his football team. I mean, you can't sit there and say that like he's helping his football team win games within the rules of college football. Now, if college football gets if Lincoln Riley and his staff and everything going on there, they're out of compliance and they don't have the ability to stay within the rules of what's going on, then they'll get reprimanded, and we'll have that conversation then. This is not like I said the first show, this is not a pom-pom show. If you're looking for pom-poms and everything's rosy, everything's like that, everything's great, yeah. No, this is the wrong show for you. But we're gonna talk about the real on this show, and I'm hoping that you guys feel that when I'm talking, that I'm trying to bring you the most real stuff about USC football as humanly possible. And the real thing about here is, like, when he says that he didn't take any players from the transfer portal. I'm sorry, he didn't take any players from Oklahoma. He took them from the transfer portal. He's correct. Like, I know that burns people's ears. Like, he's correct. That's not where his players came from. Some players didn't come from Oklahoma. Guy came from Oregon. I mean, there are going to be some pieces of the puzzle here that don't come from that don't come from Oklahoma. Oklahoma got a good team this year. Oklahoma's going to be pretty loaded this year. It's their job to go out there and win games. It is his job here to come to USC and win football games. And whether it's by the natural recruiting process or the transfer portal, which is a legal substance in NCAA. They set it up there. They put it out there for coaches. There's probably some things that coaches want to change from that. They don't necessarily want to sit there and they're probably the timing of it. When it is. Maybe maybe some coaches have even said they want it after spring practice, stuff like that, or spring ball. I don't know, but like they would have the kind of that more of that insight to why they want it, where when they want it, how they want to make changes to it. But right now, it's here. Right now, it's here, and there's no reason for Lincoln Riley to not take advantage of um that portion of what college football is offering as far as that goes. Note to Oklahoma, it's just you're a big time program. I grew up, Oklahoma was always good. Bob Stoops, like I mean, Lincoln Riley. I mean, even before that, Barry Switzer and company, like they have been a great college football power. And for their fans who've been there for a long period of time, listen, you've been there for a long time. You thought you're going to have him forever. He didn't stay forever. Maybe the inkling that you might try to go to the SEC kind of said, hey, I'm deuces. I'm going to be out of here. This doesn't make sense for Oklahoma to go to the SEC or try to go to a different conference. You don't play defense in that conference. It's hard to recruit defensive players in that conference. So that's a problem as well. But y'all too good to start to be crying. Like Oklahoma, like I'm Jamaican. We have a saying, stop the blood clot crying. Stop the blood clot crying. Like you're going to be good. Oklahoma is going to be fine. They're going to be a top 10 team almost every year. That portion of the country is always really good at football. Texas is trying to get back there. Baylor has been good. Now y'all can't play defense. And I don't want to kill Oklahoma for playing defense because I don't know if this team, I don't know if this USC team can play defense yet. That's gonna be the biggest thing. I think they'll score points this year, but the biggest question about USC going forward is gonna be, can they play defense? Can they get the big uglies up front to stop the run? Because that run game is gonna be tested second game. Those big offensive linemen up there at Stanford cannot wait for USC to come there. They are going to be licking their chops. That head coach he licks his chops to beat USC. He loves to beat USC. We know how much Stanford loves to beat USC. They're probably at a press conference with those nerd glasses. But back to Oklahoma. You have an opportunity to be good. You have an opportunity to be good every year. You know how to recruit. He's built that fence. He's built that, Wakanda protection around the recruiting in California, Southern California. So you might have to go somewhere else for that as well. But your fans in Oklahoma, you just look real weak when you're out here crying about USC as far as that goes. So no more of that. No more of that. No more of that. Again, in summation, take advantage of the ability to use the transfer portal to help your team get better. It is the NIL deals out in Los Angeles are going to be pretty saucy. We'll talk about that in a little bit with what's going on with Caleb Williams. But it's going to be better out here for that. That's why everybody's scared about all these deals with him going with NIL, transfer portal, and a big time head coach in Lincoln Riley, big time play caller in Lincoln Riley. Adjust or get left behind. College football, adjust or get left behind. Okay, Oregon. Okay, Oklahoma. Everybody's crying about, all these other things. Lane Kiffin, stop crying and adjust, move on, move forward. And we'll move forward right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen of Troy, back on the Student Body Right podcast here, talking everything USC football. Dwayne Douglas. We're going solo today. I might have a guest in the future, but right now, I think a couple guests lined up next couple weeks. But today I just want to get something out for you guys. Great response to that first podcast, and we're gonna keep that thing rolling for you. I got Jamie from 310 doing some questions here. What do you feel about what the biggest thing about what kind of style of play does Alex Grinch have defensively? Defensive coordinator here. Grinch is gonna run a 3-4 variation of a 3-4. So look out for that. I do like the 3-4. I feel like you can disguise blitzes a little bit. The three beef eaters, or space eaters up front, really have to kind of they got to stop the run. They got to stop the run. But I do like how blitzes can come from anywhere. You need linebackers who can run as well, so that's going to be interesting. He does have a title of defensive coordinator / safeties, so safeties are going to be something that he's going to be working with a lot. That's his specialty. So you have that piece there for him. So that should be fun. That should be fun. And don't forget, Dante Williams is back. He's the defensive passing game coordinator. So, he was integral in this whole process. Like, everybody wanted him back. He might be a coach who in the future will get a job or a shot in the NFL or a shot at college football. Kind of thrust in a really bad, crappy situation. Last year when Clay Helton got fired, it wasn't actually the best opportunity to be a head coach there. But I think Lincoln Riley seeing that, yes, I'm going to bring in my own guys, but it's vital that that Dante Williams is back, and I think he's going to help that. He's going to help Alex Grinch and that defensive and that defensive unit become. They're going to be faster. They're going to be quick to the ball. I love you get them if you can get people in 3rd and long. And that's the goal of every defense: get people in 3rd and long, earn the right to rush the passer. You should be fine. You should be fine. So as long as they earn the right to rush the passer, they should be really good to go. As far as that goes. I got Dave from the 718. Wants to know the number. Okay, so numbers. Did you ever see? You think that USC will ever have the names on the back of the jerseys, or names on the back of the jerseys, or a alternate jersey? I would say there's some programs that just don't need it. I don't like any alternate jerseys for Notre Dame or anybody else. I like just the traditional jerseys. I love the way USC jerseys are now. I haven't heard anything about getting any of that. I would just say leave that for the Oregons of the world. I mean, they need a little hype. They need a little hype for their program when they were starting out. And once they got a little buzz, they end up getting a bunch of different uniforms. It makes sense. Let them go. Let them go do that. But I think USC, I like the fact that you just put that uniform on and you know exactly who is playing on that day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's playing on that day. So I would say, Dave, I'd say they leave that alone. Who do you feel? I got Mike from the A60 out there in my old stomping grounds in Connecticut. Wants to know who you feel like our toughest game is. Let's look at the schedule real quick. The toughest USC game this year. Let's see here. The toughest USC game this year. I would say Notre Dame is going to have Notre Dame is in a situation where new head coach will see what they are when they come to Los Angeles. But USC is going to be one. I'm sorry, Notre Dame is going to be one. I would say the toughest matchup is going to be Utah. I think Utah is going to be a really tough matchup. They are fundamentally sound. They have NFL players on that team that, guys play with that system for a long period of time. They transition. Like I said, they have NFL players on the team. They transfer players from Saturdays to Sundays, just like USC wants to do. They're good. They're really good. And I think the biggest pitfall I could see them with this team early is the back-to-back games at Stanford. You got the layup against Rice, so that Rice should be a layup. Get everything popping for Rice, and you'll be good to go there. And then facing that big offensive line, running game, all those things like that. versus Stanford. That's going to be a big test. I mean, you know that, like I said, you know that team wants to beat USC. They love beating USC. They love it. So I would say make sure you handle your business there against Stanford first, and then you have right after that home game against Fresno State. They're not a joke. They are a good team. Got a good young quarterback who can throw the ball around the yard, who can kind of keep up the scoring if you don't take care of business there. So those are the 3 games I'd be looking for as well. Just Stanford, you don't want to have that early loss. Because if you get that early loss and then all of a sudden against Stanford, then you come home and you're facing Fresno State, not a conference opponent, nothing to lose. Got to be careful. Got to be real careful in that moment there. Let's see here. I think that's it as far as that goes for questions here. I want to shout out a couple new subscribers here, whether it's Raiders or USC. Let's see here. We got shout out to Tony Haywood. Looking fresh in the picture, in the profile picture. TV King 1968 is a new subscriber. Thank you very much. As far and you got Phil Parker as well, new subscriber, left a comment. There are still more high quality players who will transfer through the portal. The kids want to play for Lincoln Riley. They are attracted to the great weather out here in Southern California. So yes, I definitely agree with that. And then we got Scrapeture 62, also Jeffrey Thompson, Janelle Shelton, Andos09, and we got Brian Jenkins. Thank you for subscribing. Sean Orleans, Robert Knight, Robert Gamboa, Ferdinand Jeroma. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry if I got you wrong, brother, but thank you for doing that. We got Ernie, got Chuck Grant, and that's it. I got David who says fight on. So we'll continue to fight on here on the Student Body Right USC podcast. So we got that. We got all that stuff done. As far as that goes, questions, send your questions in. If you're wondering where you can send the questions in, the number is below. So it's 858-299-5592. Text those questions right to me. Leave them in the comments. Like the comments on, when you make a review on iTunes, make that review and then leave a question there. Also in the comments on YouTube, leave a question there as well. And don't forget to, like, comment, subscribe, and then hit that alert button. So when we put new content out, you'll be the first one to get it. All right. So Caleb Williams is going to be the quarterback this year. Excited about that. We'll take a quick pause and give you a quick scouting report about what I've seen from Caleb Williams here in the past and what I think how he might help the USC Trojans get to national prominence. Be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen of Troy, we are back on the Student Body Right USC podcast, the USC football podcast here for Raider fans as well. If you're looking for some Raider content as well, Ryan Holmes and myself will be on a couple of days. We'll do a podcast about the Raiders and get everything popping with the Raiders as well. So put on Waivers Media is where you want to go for everything on this channel. That is USC football and Las Vegas Raider football as well. So get my notes here real quick. Caleb Williams, we know him well. Kind of the missing piece for this offense, the offensive unit. Lincoln Riley really needed him to come over. He did come over. He took his sweet time coming over. Wanted to make it dramatic. Wanted to make it epic. And I think he succeeded on that as far as the these deals, the NIL deals, one with Beats, everything like that. Listen, if they're saying you can make money off your likeness and do that and kind of solidify your future, go ahead and do that. It makes all the sense in the world to do so. But as far as kind of an NFL comparison, I would say the NFL comparison to Caleb Williams would be, I know some people say Dak Prescott, but I would say Russell Wilson would probably be a little bit more because I feel like Dak is not, when I watch Dak Prescott, he's more of a pocket passer and a thrower. I think that, once Russell Wilson breaks contain, he's more of an explosive player when he breaks contain. So I think that's where I think one of the comparisons that you see from Caleb Williams, I like that about him. Very, just like he's built thick. Like that, you'll hear that, really thick upper body frame. He is not the tallest quarterback in the world, but he does stand tall in the pocket. You'll see on some of these throws here, he just tall. He's strong. He stands very tall in the pocket, can make the throws down the field. He's a dual threat quarterback, 46, 4'6", 40. So he can make plays outside the pocket, can make plays down the field. He's throwing bombs here. He can make plays down the field, and you want to see him do that. And I think one of the things that I kind of, when I look at a quarterback, I say to myself, okay, when can he be a fireman? Like, can he walk in the pocket? Is almost like a house on fire, where everything is falling apart. The ceiling's falling. You got debris all over the place. You got, the heat is coming. You got, the backside linebackers coming in, the blitz. All those things are coming in and caving in on you. But can you stay in the pocket, look down the field, and make the play down the field? Yeah, he can do that. And he does that very well. And I think that's the thing. And he's always looking to make a play with his arm. He can make plays with his legs. He can, if you play in that man coverage against him, and those defensive backs have their back to Caleb Williams is going to make you pay. There's no question. He's going to make you pay for that. Knows how to slide, can get out of bounds, all those things like that. I love those aspects of it. When he was on Good Morning America, people were making jokes about, hey, can he read defenses as far as zones go? And I think people are going to mix it up against him, and they're not going to play man every game, but that's where he's going to have to be in line with his head coach to change the play to go to a run and all those things like that. If they're going to cover, if they're bracketing bracketing Mario Williams. Where's the hot read for him to get rid of the ball? They have some really dynamic. That running back room at USC is pretty good. I mean, they got some dynamic players in there. So even when you do a check down, it's not the normal check down where you're going to get 2 yards. They got some guys who can run over you, and they got some guys who can make you miss. And you can stay on schedule with a check down to get 2 or 3 yards on the catch, but then on the yak, you're going 6 or 7 yards down the field. So that's what I'm looking for as far as that goes. I'm diving in, and as far as the zone stuff, it's easy to get all 22 from the NFL. You have to really search for all 22 when it comes to college football. And highlight films don't do it really. You got to kind of find that all 22 footage to kind of see what defense is being played, and see where the ball should be going and where it shouldn't be going, as far as that goes. But he knows the offense. I mean, he's comfortable in this offense. I mean, that's something that you got to love. With him coming from Oklahoma, he's going to be able to teach out. Your quarterback is an extension of the head coach. You got to have somebody who can teach the offense, the language, for some people it's going to be French. And they've been speaking Spanish forever. He has to get everybody to speak French together. And I think that's one thing that's really going to help in this process. That's why, everybody was like on bended knee, hoping that he would come to USC after he was taking his time to make his decision. Or taking his time to be the last one to make a more dramatic decision as far as that goes. But he really he just changes games with his feet. And I think one of the things that I love about him too is, like, I've talked about that fireman in the house, trying to put out the fire. He's able to, when the rushers come and maybe they'll have a clear path right to him, he does a great job of just getting small and then escaping the sack. He escapes sacks very well. So I know people are worried about, where's the beef with this USC team? They got the receivers, we got the running backs, we got all these guys, but do they have the beef up front to block for them? I think you're going to be surprised. I think people are going to be generally surprised about what the Trojans have as far as their offensive line. I think John Henson and Lincoln Riley are very excited about this offensive line, about this offensive unit and his offensive line especially. So we'll see. He likes, and listen, the one thing that I do, what we always like about Lincoln Riley is he runs the football. I know I'm going from Lincoln Riley to kind of a breakdown of what should be a breakdown of Caleb Williams. But like I said, running the football is huge. Being able to do that is huge, and he's going to be able to do that with his legs. And 6'1" frame. It's not the tallest quarterback in the world, so you might look at some balls that get batted down in line of scrimmage, especially on like crossing routes and dump down routes, if you will. But you won't be able to go down the field and throw bombs all the time. But I do feel like he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to make plays. And you talk about a guy who's going to be a first round pick, a guy who's going to be a threat to win the Heisman. That is, you cannot, he has top 10 talent in the draft. Talking about a top 10, and this is the trend. The USC, the reason why they got rid of Clay Helton is because they needed guys who they can transition from Saturdays to play on Sundays. And Caleb Williams can do that in a big way. He throws well. He throws in rhythm. Has to be a little bit more consistent with his accuracy. Got to see. I mean, this is gonna be a pressure cooker for him. The pressure cooker for him is gonna be it's gonna be big. So can he handle, that part of it too? We'll see. But I'm excited for it. Like I said, can handle the pocket, stands tall in the pocket, can elude the rush, is a threat to run, maybe a little bit inconsistent with his accuracy, can make all the throws on the field, right? And he's a leader. I mean, that's something that's huge. That's as far as that goes. Kind of my little breakdown here of Caleb Williams here on the Student Body Right podcast for all things USC. But yeah, I mean, we can wrap it up there as far as that goes. He is, like I said, the guy is dynamic. You know it because how your heart felt when you saw that video the first time on his Twitter page that he was officially here in Southern California, officially here at USC. All right, folks. So we got a lot of stuff coming up in the future. Next week we're gonna start putting out some shows a little bit more frequently. Then when I get one out there for you, because I know you guys had a great. I appreciate all of it. Don't get me. I mean, I love it. We love it here at the Put On Waivers Media Group that we have produced a couple of really good podcasts with really good responses. Just crazy fan bases with the Raiders and a crazy fan base with the Fight On folks out here at USC. So we really appreciate that. And we're gonna do some more breakdowns here. I want to kind of dive into the next show. We'll dive into the transfer portal a little bit more and talk about the running back room. We'll break down the running back room. I make a note of that. So we'll break down the running back room for next week, because I know that's something that people want to talk about as well. I mean, so Dye and Brown and all these people like that. We'll see what we got there as far as that goes. But Fight On, as always. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to reach us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We want those questions. Keep those questions coming and keep sharing it with your friends. We want to get as many subscribers as possible. And don't forget to hang out with our sponsor on Instagram. That is Dragon the Barber. Listen, you gotta look fresh. For gentlemen, ladies, the ladies want you to look fresh. I'm saying? It's not like old school now. You just come in and looking all kind of crazy. You gotta look fresh. So make sure you check out Dragon the Barber on Instagram. And if you're looking for new logo stuff, our logo was created by at Logo Hog on Twitter. On Twitter for that as well. So as always, folks, fight on.